Yeah. All right. And what's up, Kyle? Hold on. Again. Here we go. 4, 3, 2. Still getting report. Week number 8 NFL season with the man Kyle effing Nash. What's up, man?
Some sort of energy there. Of course, it sounds more like you're trying to speak in Morse code, but whatever, man. What's going on there, EJ Christian?
Well, football's awesome.
Football is, in fact, awesome. Yes.
Even though this weekend was kind of like
I don't know that I can agree with that. Now, I'll grant I only sampled the NFL this weekend, in the background because I was chilling with, a bunch of children in Halloween costumes, but I was still paying attention and I was entertained. Yeah.
So, like, I've always said that the peak of my football Sundays are obviously 1 to 4.
That's the peak of everybody's.
Right. I'm always like, I used to be that guy 10 years ago where I was locked in from the minute 1 o'clock until like fucking the end of the Sunday night football game. And as I got older, I become more pick and choosy with what I watch because you have other priorities and whatnot. And if it's a 4 o'clock game I want to watch badly, I'll watch it. But this weekend's schedule, man, I mean, look at the way these games played out, for example, and turned out by virtue of the Vegas spreads and then what happened in the aftermath. Like, I was locked in from 1 to 4 to some degree. 4 o'clock, I made a decision to say, you know what, I just don't want to watch anymore because these games were not that good.
Tapping out.
I tapped out. But surprisingly enough, I tapped back into the night game, the Colts and the Niners.
Yeah, God, what a disaster that was.
Yeah. But we'll get to
perspective-wise, no disrespect to the Colts, obviously. I'm actually surprised Carson Wentz is still upright and playing, And
playing well, actually.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I had said in my AFC South review for the 3pointconversion.com, that the Colts weren't a bad team. They just weren't going to win the division.
Go to 101soundboards.com to access the sound.
Did you really
rejected?
I can show you, piece of shit.
Gosh, don't you hate it when your host just doesn't even have their soundboard together?
It was ready to go, and then fucking that's the button. Oh, come on, hold on.
You know what else is ready to go?
Me,
my voice talent.
There you go.
Sure?
Boom. There we go.
All that for just a ding? Really?
I know. Seriously.
A little disappointed in you, Ernest Christian. A little disappointed.
Ridiculous.
Anyways.
As you were saying.
No, but, it's not that the Colts are a bad football team. They just don't have weapons at every single spot, but they have them at good places, right? Now, granted, Quentin Nelson is hurt, but the offensive line is a completely different unit than what we're used to, and, that got Andrew Luck killed. While their receiver core isn't necessarily stellar, do you need to be stellar in the air to get past the Niners defense? Not always, So, yeah.
I'm glad we started. I mean, I didn't plan on talking about the Colts, but I'm glad we did because didn't I tell you? I think I definitely said it with Zach last week on our picks, but did I tell you also? I might have said to you also too that either on this, it might have been a huddle up actually, not on this pod. But Big Jim, of course, our boy Jim Neese will be there tonight as well too. That Niners Colts game was a sneaky important game for both teams.
If you remember, I signed off on that too.
Yeah, right. So you look at the AFC now, with the Colts winning, and winning fairly convincingly. Things are happening in the AFC now where, okay, there was a thought of before 2 or 3 weeks ago that maybe that the only way to get in the playoffs is win the division. I think that's changed now. I think there's now opportunities here from where they can get into the wild card now, as opposed to just winning the AFC South. Given the fact that the Titans have actually started to pull away a little bit now because of winning 2 big games against the Bills and the Chiefs.
Well, and that more. Listen, let's not. I mean, we're still in a place where people are declaring death and immortality still way too soon in the NFL season, right? Let's get straight on that right quick, okay? I got Titans fans trying to tell me they still have a defense that's good. No, you don't. And there's some teams that are already, we're seeing the truth too as well, right? Like, for example, the Broncos are in free fall where, some people thought they were great. Carolina, who you and I were both suspect of, are now exposed like Janet Jackson. They got the Janet Jackson status in the halftime show there too, right? Exactly. What's tough for the Colts is their season starting out was awful, right? 2 NFC West teams, and then, oh, by the way, your division rival Titans, right?
Yeah.
So that's a tough break. And then, you get the Dolphins for a rest. You got the Ravens, okay? And then now the schedule's starting to ease up. You would think the Niners were a loss, but they actually finally win a game that they shouldn't have. And one single game, but they've only won one game that they shouldn't have. They've lost or won every one you shouldn't have. Of course, I'm counting the Finns and Texans as games they should win, right? And so here we have this week against coming up. It's the Titans. That could go either way. After that, Jets, Jags. Okay, Bills is tough. Bucks is tough. Texans, Pats. Okay, and I was going to say, for example, they haven't played the Cardinals. That's a very losable game as well. There's enough.
The Colts.
Sorry, what?
This is the Colts, by the way, right?
Right, because we were talking about the Colts.
I already found 3 wins right there on that schedule, maybe 4.
Yeah, and they wrap with the Jags at home if they need a big one toward the end. So yeah, no, they're based on that win, their playoff. Their chances of a worse, better, slightly improved as your theory prescribed. And I could also argue it hurt the Niners a lot more because as the Niners continue to struggle, they have a disgusting divisional schedule still left to play too. So,
yeah.
Well,
you know what? I know when I launched our show today on talking about something else, but we'll put it back in the show real quick because I'm glad you mentioned that. Kyle Shanahan.
What about him?
Is he a little warm now, you think?
No. And there's been all sorts of people, a particular personality whom I kind of emulate my style among them, who are just panicking entirely too much with the 49ers for a minute. Okay, can we just chill the F out? Like, this is a team that's, 2 years, 3 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance, right? 2 years. 2 postseasons ago, the Niners were Super Bowl runners-up and were leading that game for 3.5 quarters. Okay, and I won't get into what's that?
Now the bottom ringer of the NFL, not close to the bottom ringer of the NFL the last 2 years. Wow, that went quickly.
Well,
boy,
that's a little bit of an overstatement, don't you think? Can we stop for a minute and people want to drop sides? They're 1-10 at home. Yeah, okay, great. They also had 35 players on IR last season.
True.
As if that didn't happen, guys. Come on. And people all griping Garoppolo this and Trey Lance that. Listen, folks, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo, the old plan was to play him out, and they got Trey Lance on purpose because they're doing what you're supposed to do with quarterbacks. Give them time to develop. Sure, some of them play right out of the gate. Most of them play right out of the gate nowadays. But the quarterbacks with the most success are guys that didn't start right out the gate. Need I remind you of Aaron Charlie Rodgers, right? I don't mean to necessarily bring up Brady, but I can. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. He just happens to have an amazing roster in support minus his secondary.
Even though he's going to throw 55 touchdowns this season.
I mean, listen, think about that though. When Manning set the record, he had an amazing receiver core, but it wasn't as good as Brady's receiver core, who he passed in New England, right, with Randy Moss and company. Now, I could argue that while Randy Moss is a better receiver than any of the ones currently on the Tampa Bay schedule, what I can also tell you is as a core, they are stronger than that group that had 18 wins and 1 giant loss for the Patriots there, right? Ernest Christian's worst day of his entire life as a Patriot.
No, you don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that.
Do not what? Tell the truth? Listen, by now they know you're a Patriots fan.
Break the champion at any time.
Don't do that.
That didn't make any sense, by the way. If you're going to use the soundboard, at least do something worthwhile. Christ. Anyways, no. So and part of it part of it is I think the 49ers snubbed Colin Cowherd at a party or something, because suddenly he just decided to go all anti in one of the biggest knee-jerk reactions I've seen, calling the 49ers the worst division in the AFC West. Guys, I don't have to prove. I can point to other things of why the Niners are still among the best in the division. All I'm here to do is in one sentence disprove the Niners aren't the worst in the NFC West. Are you ready? Seattle. I win. Okay? What's the only reason Seattle's relevant? Here's a hint. We are seeing it happen before our eyes right now, okay? When Russell Carrington Wilson is not a factor, neither are the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll has been horrible at clock management. No one wants to talk about it, even though I've written about it at least twice. He's also responsible for the worst offensive play call in Super Bowl history. Just ask Malcolm Butler.
I love you just mentioned Pete Carroll because he has now become exposed now.
He's been exposed. People just have refused to acknowledge it. It's like the reverse of Lamar Jackson's passing game here, okay? It's always been there. People are just too stupid to acknowledge it. Pete Carroll's always been overrated. People have just been too stupid to acknowledge it. You know, I don't get it. Anyways.
I'm with you on that one. I think, like last night's game against the Saints, they had a one big touchdown to Metcalf, and after that, they just went completely inept. Rest of the night at home. Yeah, you want to trade Russell Wilson now, guys? Like, yeah, sell down.
Well, they were smart enough to pay him. I mean, it's not that they aren't self-aware. They're just pretty good at hiding the warts from the public somehow. Don't ask me how. Oh, wait, that's right. Washington State, one of the first states to legalize weed. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see what's on the list because I'm kind of going all over the place, but it's fine. Oh, okay, we got to do it. We got to do it. Is it DEFCON 1 time in Kansas City?
Oh, hell yes. Okay. Unbelievably so. And I know a good friend of ours, Big Jim, is it nice or nice? I always say it. I never say it the same way, but
it's really this guy. It's really
Trubisky or whatever.
Yeah, whatever his name is. I'm glad you took the Joker laugh out of the way. But with Big Jim,
it's still there.
Oh well,
Trubisky or whatever the hell his name is, or
it's still there.
But with Big Jim, I know that, if you're interested in watching him, take a giant dump upon the Kansas City Chiefs for what will probably be a good 15 minutes on his show, tune in tonight on the Huddle Up podcast on the Facebook page there for Big Jim Sports there.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, right. Yeah. Also follow Big Jim Sports on Twitter if you want to see something hilarious and also see one of the most entitled fans in sports.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, my.
His team will be up like 30 points. They'll be like, oh, my gosh, what is this crap? That was DPI. Ah!
Yeah. I hope Snap's on show today, too, so we can, just give him hell. That's all.
Listen, the difference between the Chiefs and what happened this past weekend and everything that happened to this point, two things are true. A, they played strong teams. Titans fans, deal with it. You do not have a strong team. You needed two garbage-ass calls to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shall we move on? Great, thank you. Now, if you struggle like that against the Titans, you got big-time problems. If you're throwing this many interceptions, Christ, call Eli Manning late in his career. It wasn't like this with him, okay? And we could throw the whole offense under the bus on this for committing turnovers, but I don't think that's proper because the defense has been that bad, right? Patrick LaVon Mahomes II has been at his worst. And I have no problem saying it or criticizing it as I have in the past couple of weeks and acknowledging it because he said so himself on the podium. It's okay to question the Chiefs at this point because in the past they've at least been bouncing back and showing signs of life.
Right. Here,
not so much.
So 3-4 record. If you ask me right now in a nutshell, do the Chiefs get in the playoffs this year? I'll still say yes, without context. But however, now I look at a schedule, and if you look at the remaining schedule without context, you think, oh, they should be able to, figure things. Well, they have a problem, should I say? They have an issue. This schedule going forward, rest of the year is not that easy. Now,
their entire schedule, as it would turn out, is pretty damn tough, and no one's acknowledging that.
Right, and now again, if you use context, though, of course, this is also assuming that you believe some of these teams that they play left and under schedule will sustain teams that we thought not sure to sustain, not so forth, are doing that. So let's go through the schedule real quick. Okay, so obviously the Giants next week Monday Night Football. That's got to be a win.
One would hope.
Okay, then here's where the schedule gets really, really tough. Next 3 weeks, you got at home against Green Bay. on the road at Las Vegas against the Raiders, a rival, of course. And then the Dallas Cowboys at home. Just 3 games. Okay. Then you got Denver, which is a divisional game. They should win that game. Again, divisional games are weird. Sometimes they're weirdo games. Then the Raiders again at home. The Chargers on the road, which they lost.
Which, by the way, side note, let's acknowledge something. All the games you've mentioned, the only one that's easy so far, Broncos. The Raiders are outperforming anything you would have thought looking at the schedule in August. The Cowboys are way better than anything even Big Jim, the big homer himself, would have thought of about his Cowboys. I mean, the Giants still suck, which obviously you're excited about, Patriots fan. But, though the Washington football team is outperforming what we would have thought, they beat them, but like the Red Tails and the Eagles, whom they beat, both are outperforming what we would have thought, despite losing their starting quarterback. In the case of the Red Tails, which actually, I mentioned all this. This really kind of calls to question the credibility of the Browns, but I digress.
Right. So I mentioned Chargers on the road, which they already lost them at home this year. Right?
Chargers are a good football team.
Yes,
man.
they are. Then the last 3 games, they play the Steelers at home, which again, Steelers are a toughie. Even though
I don't agree. Like that might be the other give me other than the Broncos and the Giants.
Right. Bengals on the road. Which, let's see, are they still this team by week 16, week 17, week 17 actually here?
If their defense is still 31st, Joe Burrow's going to slice them.
And then they close the year against Denver. So there's still, based on the schedule, if you believe, there are definitely at least 3 to 4 quote-unquote guarantee wins here. That puts you at 7 wins. You got to steal about 2 or 3 more from some good teams there to make the playoffs.
2 ain't going to do it. You need at least 3.
From the good teams, from the Raiders, Cowboys,
from the difficult,
Raiders, Chargers, right? Bracket.
And I don't know where you're going to get that from.
If we believe the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be this team the rest of the year, then yes, they're in trouble.
Because here's what I know is we're 7 or 8 weeks in, and we still have a horrible defense in Kansas City, right?
Yeah. It's going to be a fascinating finish to the year for this team because we just mentioned this team while we were going through the schedule. My thing is this, though. I think the Cincinnati Bengals this past Sunday put the league on notice, not just for this year, but big picture. I've been one of the guys dating back to his senior at LSU with Joe Burrow saying that this kid was special, and not just because of how well he plays, but the calm and cool and collectedness of his aura. It's the way he plays the game football. It reminded me of Montana / Brady. This calm, cool, collected, doesn't get rattled, that kind of thing. And it's funny because like we mentioned this on the podcast a couple weeks ago about, and Herbert deserves all the praise for the first quarter of the year. But all of a sudden, because of that, Joe Burrow became underrated out of nowhere. People start talking about him all of a sudden out of nowhere. And now you see the Bengals at 5-2. Should be 6-1. Let's be real. You missed 2 fucking field goals against Green Bay to win. Okay.
How about this kid just competing in a shootout with Aaron Charlie Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
That should tell you everything you need to know, point blank, end of story. And when I met Burrow going into the Fiesta Bowl, preceding the best statistical offensive season by a college football team in the nation, of all time, I was able to observe that this is just another dude. Like Joe Burrow talks to you like he's just another dude, and it's so perfect that he was coached by an everyman like Ed Ogeron. Listen, whether he has a job at the end of this season or not, I can get how those 2 guys jived. But to bring it back up to the NFL, it's very easy to see how Joe Burrow got overlooked, right? It's people are focused on Justin Herbert because no one expected an Oregon player to do well in the NFL. Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield take away from the headlines, both negative and positive in the AFC North. And then also Ben Roethlisberger possibly collapsing before us. Ironically, just like Brett Favre did playing against the Steelers before his would-be retirement, and Joe Whibb came in shortly after that. Like, that's all been what's hiding Joe Burrow. There's so much news in his division at the quarterback position right now. It's very easy, especially for a guy who's known for just being calm, collected, down to earth, not being loud and flashy, et cetera, to get overlooked. And I'm not trying to say L-Jack isn't flashy. He's a little bit different in that his game is so flashy, and there's just this big fight about the state of the quarterback position that's out there. Now granted, you and I have both said that. Well, actually, you and I have said it before too, but I think it was said even better this past Tuesday on the Huddle Up podcast with Big Jim Neese. Bing! Tom Brady. No, if you've seen the picture of Tom Brady going into the combine, no quarterback even gets an invite looking like that anymore ever again. Period. End of story.
And that's what stands out really more than else. I know Burrow. I get it. Oh, was the one pick? Yeah, but because he got hurt last year, quarter close to halfway of the year, kind of got forgotten. But this Bengals team, I don't know. This is the big win. You beat Baltimore in Baltimore after they beat the Chargers the way they did, and just beat them down like a ugly stepchild. That's a statement. That's a hey, we are here to compete. Let's go.
Your initial statement was put the league on notice now and into the future. I think it's more the into the future part, because now what they are is a couple draft picks away at more essential positions, i.e. offensive line, right, perhaps some defensive line help, maybe, whatever, from being a true Super Bowl contender once again in a way we haven't seen since Carson Palmer was at the helm, those years ago. And, an unfortunate hit in a playoff game by Kimo van Oelhoffen, that tears his knee apart, et cetera, right? So, and what is that? That's at least 10 years ago now, right? One would think. Mm-hmm. At any rate, so the punchline to that is they put the league on notice for the future more than the present. Now, granted, that's still a damn difficult division. The Browns, say what we will about Baker Mayfield, they're still good. They still have one of the better offensive lines in the league, which is still fascinating to me. Just so few years after Joe Thomas departing from that group in retirement. But the Browns are still a factor on the ground and on defense. They're still going to be a thing. I picked the Ravens to make it and win the Super Bowl. I picked L-Jack to be the MVP, et cetera, et cetera. Now, granted, they looked horrible this week, but they also beat the bejesus out the Chargers the week before. Listen, this is the NFL. These things happen sometimes. All of the above to say, I tried to tell you about the Bengals 2 weeks ago when you and Big Jim were arguing about the Bears and the Chargers. But no, we couldn't have that conversation then. You listening? Do you hear me now?
You mean the Chiefs and the Chargers? Because that was the number 10 slot thingy.
Yeah, I said maybe the Bengals if you don't like the Chiefs there, but no one wanted to hear about that then.
Let's see more, man. Larger sample size, and I got it now. I got a sample size.
Hey, I saw it already.
You did. You sure did. All right, last thing, NFL thing here before we get to our college football talk real quick. I want you, and this is I'm gonna give credit to our good friend Matt Weiner, who posted this on his Facebook. And I actually want to use this as a topic here on this show. I want you to rank these three AFC teams in order. Okay, the Bengals mentioned, the Chargers, and the Titans.
Titans are at the bottom, point blank.
Okay.
At this point, here's the thing. Of those three teams, I can make the argument that the Bengals belong at the top. Mm-hmm. But of the three teams, also have the least chance of making the playoffs.
Sort of, but both of them divisions right now. But although we'll see.
But I would put the Chargers number one of those three teams because they're a little bit more complete.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that one. I think the thing is sustainability right now. I think Chargers have a better roster to sustain. But I wouldn't mind going 1A, 1B either way. These two teams, certainly Tennessee is about 3.
Okay, but only pansies like you go 1A and 1B that straddle the fence and not give a real answer. This is why you have me on the show to carry you, is so they get an actual real opinion that's worth listening to instead of some pussyfooted thing that doesn't do anything for anybody.
Oh man,
that was a pretty big dunk, wasn't it?
It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Man down.
All right, let's get the college football real quick. As I said, we're gonna be doing this every week now. There's no specific stories on top about. So let's talk about the rankings real quick. We have more upsets this weekend. Penn State lost this weekend in 9 overtimes.
We tried to tell you people about Penn State. We did. Y'all didn't want to hear it.
So everything is sorting itself out at the end of the day, as I said.
And that's why the big game this week is also where College Game Day is going to be. Is in Sparty. Is at Michigan State. East Lansing, to see who triumphs over Michigan and Michigan State.
Yeah. So right now, this is what, week 9, a week, whatever the hell it is, of college football season. What is your playoff for right now? If you were the head of community, you had your list, and this is my 4 teams in order right now.
Okay, so Georgia and Cincy are 2 for now. We're still doing that. I still got Bama 3. I still got Michigan 4.
Same as mine.
Yeah, I know. You keep copying my goddamn paper.
Fine. I can't.
That's right. Your eyes, Ernest Christian.
But I will say that the next 2 below, Oklahoma will be 5 and Ohio
State 6. Oklahoma would not be 5. You are wrong. You are the wrongest thing I've ever seen. And if you could be any more wrong, you would probably be talking. Actually, no, you're talking about football. You can't be any more wrong than you are, because at least you have some knowledge of the Heat. Go Heat, bitch.
Wrong.
Thank you, Dr. Cox.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, obviously you still have Alabama ahead of Oklahoma. What the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing right now? A team that almost lost to Kansas. That's what you just put ahead of Alabama. Put the pipe down. You're not in Washington State.
I have Oklahoma number 5.
Okay. And Alabama's behind them, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
Very good.
Number 3, actually.
Yeah, and people could say the same thing about me and Michigan right now, and that's cool. If you like Bama at 4 and Michigan at 5 and Stan, listen, I'm down. But this Saturday will certainly solve for that. So winter may be coming for you.
Michigan State this weekend.
Correct.
Fun. It should be a fun.
It's Lansing. Yes.
Hope it's a night game. It should be a night game, I hope.
No telling.
No,
I haven't looked at the schedule yet. So
no, I'll tell you right now, actually, because I want to know, because.
Hey, how about you keep the flow of the show moving and actually be a host, and I'll look it up. What do you think?
It's noon. It's at noon. Fuck. It's at noon. Anyway, last thing. This is not even football related. But apparently you had an issue with something I said on my podcast yesterday about.
No. Hold on. This is getting way properly unbilled. It's not something that you've said, but you are included in the narrative people who say it. Let's be proper in that. You are not the only one guilty of this crime.
NBA at 75. NBA 75-year anniversary of the league, and they did the NBA 75 list. Man, I remember the NBA 50 list. I remember that. I had a VHS tape and all that, and I remember that's a big deal at the time. I was 16 years old. And they did 75. They did 75, and obviously a lot of the talk is about the snubs. Who did make the list?
First of all, one of my favorite rules of yours is these losers talk about these snubs, but they don't say who they should replace.
Right.
But go on.
Well, there's a couple people on that list I thought should probably get taken out. I'm bullish on Anthony Davis personally.
And yeah, he does not have the body of work to be there yet. That's ridiculous.
I think the injuries alone hurt his case. But again, if Bill Walton's in the 75, then AD by default probably should, because I mean at least when AD is healthy, he is productive, and it's a championship to boot. So.
But I don't know. I think players currently playing who have been playing less than 15 years should not be included.
But this is the problem, though. The NBA 50 set a standard pretty early. Shaq got on in year 4.
Yeah, and that was ridiculous then, too.
But
Next question.
I think a lot of it, too, also is that the league had already identified that this guy was going to be dominant for a long time. Which, and by the way, he deserves on the list because he even got better as time went on.
But his team stats got better. He still ruined the center position in that, nobody of any size with any skill came along after that because they thought they could just overpower everybody. It was disgusting.
It was a 3-year period where he was the most dominant force I've ever seen play basketball outside Michael Jordan.
Unless he got rejected by Hakeem Olajuwon, sure.
Well, after Olajuwon passed, Olajuwon already retired at this point. So
okay, well, you didn't make that clear. Okay, go ahead.
So I guess the issue right now is a lot of people are waxing poetic about why Dwight Howard didn't make the 75. Now, I said this on the pod yesterday. I am not losing sleep over Dwight Howard not making the list. But if you ask me, should he be on the list, I will lean more for a yes than a no. You said,
He should be a no, and he should be a flat no, because it should be held against you that when you are part of the implosion or the decline of a franchise being left in your wake, okay? What he did to Stan Van in Orlando was disgusting. And since that led to Stan Van's firing in Orlando, them trying to rebuild became sort of a challenge. Only in the past few years, right? DJ Augustine hitting that 3 to win a first-round playoff game against the would-be Toronto Raptors, who would win the conference and I believe the championship that year.
Yep.
Is really the only bright shining spot for Orlando in the postseason since Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, sorry. And like, how many other stops has he had where he's produced basically nothing? Houston,
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
You're going to talk about him lighting up a stat sheet and all this other stuff, but he's not been a central figure.
But the thing was, the Houston issue is that it was a bad fit, and playing with James Harden, it's hard. Look, Chris Paul couldn't make it work there.
Okay, fine. Let's pretend he has that excuse. Right. Talk me out of him in Orlando, man.
Okay, so look, I don't think your argument is unwarranted. The whole thing when the Stan Van thing was stupid as shit. I was on record even back 9 years ago talking about this shit on this podcast when that thing went down. Like, the guy's a moron, a complete moron.
And let me be clear about one thing too. I don't want to straight up say like anyone who thinks he belongs is dumb. I'm not saying that, but people are asking, why isn't he on there? My response is, if you were instrumental in the collapse of a franchise, it should be held against you. And I think that's part of it.
Are there any guys on the 75 that also contributed to the demise of their franchises?
I have not I'll be honest, I haven't looked it over yet. But I'm sure you can find somebody. Right. Is Kyrie Irving on there? If he is, there's one.
Rumor that he was on there and it was taken out last minute because of the COVID thing, which is fucking stupid as shit.
He never should have been on there in the first place.
I agree with you on that one, but if you put him on the list, though, leave him on the list. Don't do it because of political reasons.
I agree. Yeah. If Ty Cobb's allowed to stay in the Hall of Fame for baseball, I did baseball talk. This is how disgusting this topic is, you son of a bitch.
No, don't. It's World Series. Game 1 World Series tonight, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, what? I'm watching it.
Yeah.
The Cheetahs and the Braves. Oh, goody.
There was a point for a good 4 or 5 years in this league where Dwight Howard was top 3-4 player in the league.
Sure. At what point?
That included LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade at the peak.
I'll see that and raise you this. I'll make this as visceral as hell for you. The local writer, Mike Bianchi here, right? In Orlando, wrote a column about look out LeBron James, here comes Dwight Howard. And it's now the single biggest blunder in his opinion in his entire writing career that has spanned decades.
Dwight's fault.
That doesn't make my point better than anything else. I can't help you.
It's Dwight's fault. Dwight was a mental midget at some point. But I could make a case for it. 3 defensive players a year, 3 depoys. That's incredible.
Who plays defense in the NBA now?
Well, he was playing defense still at that time.
Right. It's because what was name another dominant center that was a big battle? Him and Dwight Howard. Pau Gasol?
Pau Gasol he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. And he actually beat Dwight Howard in those finals, if I remember correctly.
Well, bear in mind, though, that he had to deal with two centers, though. Bynum at the time, too, was pretty dominant as well. For that 2-3.
Yeah, but, when he was healthy, I suppose that's true.
But I get what you're saying. I get your point. Your point is warranted. Like I said, look, I'm not going to lose sleep with Dwight not making it 25. I'm not losing sleep about that. There's actually better arguments out there about whether or not Russell Westbrook should be on there. I say yes.
He has to be.
Yes,
anybody who averages a triple-double regularly
right.
belongs.
And only that, the best way to do this list is this. Because apparently what I found out is that the original 50 that's on the list from 1996, stayed there. They didn't redo the list.
Yeah, no, I was about to make this comment too. It's not the top 75. It should be called the next 25.
Right. So the question is this. Give me your next, who are the best, and I'm going to do a podcast with my boy Zach on this probably in December. Who are the best 25 players in NBA history from 1996 on? Now, obviously, you have to be drafted around that time. Now, there's certain players that may skate by because Reggie Miller didn't make the original list. We made this one. You know what I'm saying? But Russell Westbrook is easily one of the best 25 players in the last 25 years in this league.
Sure.
That's that noise.
Yeah, I don't think that's close.
I mean, it's LeBron 1, obviously. LeBron 1.
Sure.
Duncan or Kobe 2. You pick it. And
then Kobe. As much as I was not a Kobe guy, Kobe's definitely 2. And put the fundamental in after that. Because, listen, Tim Duncan had a lot more help than Kobe did. I ain't that stupid. Because, listen, I remember Shearer's Day where he was on Stephen A. Smith's show back when he was in New York, and he said, "Trade me, where? Trade me." This is shortly after he got ousted by the Suns in the first round, right? But nobody wants to talk about that or remember that. And especially now that he's died. Oh my gosh, you're horrible. You're disparaging Kobe. It happened. It's just history. Deal with it.
And I love Kobe Bryant, but it's called. I get LeBron shit too. If he fucks up, I'm gonna tell him straight up too. Same thing. Call it down the middle. But I'm gonna do a podcast on that probably in the next 2 months. Doing the best 25 players the last 25 years. That's getting a lot harder than you think, because obviously you have KD in there. You're gonna have where do you put KD? Where do you put Dirk? There's a lot because. The talent.
You would count Dirk in that? Yeah, I guess you could. I guess you could. Yeah, sure.
He's in the top 10.
It's hard to remember. Dirk. He played so long. It's hard for me to remember what era he counts in.
The big part here is taken out. So you would put Shaq in there, but the problem is Shaq is already on the 50. So delete if the guy made the 50 already, he doesn't need to be on the 75 on the next 25 because he was already in the 50.
Sure. So
take out Shaq and a couple of guys of that nature on the list. So, anyway, that should be a fun pod. Kyle, it was fun. I'll see you tonight.
I suppose you will if you actually show up, security man.
I will show up tonight. I will. I promise. Plug away as I ding away.
Hey, man, thanks a lot, Ernest Christian, for having me aboard once again. Football is awesome, and it only makes sense you have me to help you make it that much more. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter as the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same as the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my work on the3pointconversion.com. That's the number 3. My work covering the UCF Knights and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, you could go on their YouTube page as well to see mine and the stylings of so many others. Definitely much more consistent than whatever EJ is doing with the soundboard back there.
Because of the Jaguars. Just saying.
Listen, man. I mean, they actually are still fresh off of their win. They had a bye week this week, and hey, funny.
They lose. There you go.
Yeah, funny story, by the way. This point in the year, Trevor Lawrence is actually outpacing Peyton Manning as a rookie just in passing. And then you add his stats on the ground. I'm just telling you, ladies and gentlemen.
Also realized that Peyton Manning wasn't that good in his rookie year. Let's slow down.
No, he wasn't. But for people who want to declare the Jacksonville Jaguars this horrible story, I'm like, listen, folks, y'all need to be looking out. Because they've got a great receiver core. They've got Trevor Lawrence, who's rapidly improving. Their defense isn't stellar, but it's in that middle of the league range where you want them to be. And they have Shaquille Griffin as a captain of that secondary. He's the right personality to try to keep them, going through this, a rebuilding year, and building into a much better squad next year. And listen, it's no surprise that Shaquille Griffin is helpful in this capacity, because this is the same guy who was a member of the 2015 team that lost all their games and then was part of the squad and left just before the 2017 year, where they were the national champions, according to the Calling Matrix. No, they didn't claim it. That happened. Stop it.
Okay.
And that's not it. Like, people are like, but you're just a fan. No, I cover the team. Trust me. If I was a fan, it would not be UCF as my first choice of franchises that I would pick in the college ranks. I just went there. But
By the way, I just realized I have my wrestling podcast background on my Earnestly Speaking podcast background on. Oh well, continue.
I thought you were just advertising. I just put your backdrop in a perpetual state of bing. That's all I thought of it.
I agree with you on that one.
But anyways, so long with the short, this guy is uniquely qualified to work with the psyche of this group, to have them actually be something in a division that's overrated as hell. And Derrick Henry is just another year with tread off the tires as a running back in the NFL. What more can we say? Anyways,
you're welcome.
Of course, catch my work with Hilarity by Default on YouTube with my friend Demosthenes Euclid. We are recording tonight one of my favorite comedies. And I'm not sure when that show will air, but allegedly it'll be close to Thanksgiving. However, there'll be some new hotness dropping sometime this week, so look out for that.
Is it a movie, or is it
I believe it was Bell Book and Candle, another Halloween special that we did there.
Okay.
So, get some of that classic fare with Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant that you like to, that Demos enjoys so well, to make sure you get some damn culture in your life, people. Okay, we don't do the Fast and the Furious on this show. Anyways.
Blame you. The first two, by the way. I haven't seen the other 7.
Why do you talk, Patriots fan? Jesus, you're such a tool.
Is it that good? Is it that good?
What?
The Fast and Furious stuff?
I don't know. I'm not seeing that trash.
Oh, so what the fuck? Wait, give me shit for? I saw the first 2 movies back in 2001.
Yes, you went it all. Thus, you deserve the ish in question. Shall we move on?
Come on, is that bad big a deal?
No, you're really making it too easy to dunk on you is the problem. Like you're Duckworth and I'm Shaq. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
Sarcasm. Yeah, I don't care.
Anyway.
There's a 90s basketball reference for you, hippies.
Yep.
Anyways,
I kind of doing this on the show too. We gotta get back to that after football's over.
But then, of course, my friend Demosthenes Euclid with Hilarity by Default, and check out my work as well with the Captain and Company Morning Show on A7 with A7BN Sports and oldschool101.com. My friend Captain Chris Hill presiding, of course, with all that. So until next time, everybody, of course, I am College Student Game. Till the next report, where I remind you that football is awesome, along with Ernest Christian. Class dismissed.
By the way, you can find also on the podcast, we drop a Wednesday, Football is Awesome, on our podcast feed. But
the YouTube, yes.
But this actual segment will be segued by itself on my YouTube page at Ernest EJ Christian on YouTube. The Student Game Report playlist on my playlist section. So
I'm gonna call you Ernest the Orange because Julius.
Just Julius. Oh, shut up. So stupid. Anyway, good job, Kyle. Good job. And we are